And what a wonderful details both Dias Morrison and Ambassador Wittman has given, that really outlines how positive and the long-term impactful relationship that we are going to continue to witness. Just from Indian American perspective, right, we have seen good steps that we saw that 10 years defense agreement got signed between Secretary of War and India's Defense Minister. Similarly, now the critical minerals related agreement was signed, announced Secretary of State and India's External Minister. These are the positive development. What we are hoping is that very soon that US-India trade agreement get really signed very soon. That's what we have been waiting. We have been hearing that months and months that is coming, but hopefully this month it gets it. And the final, we are hoping that President Trump visits India and also Prime Minister Modi ji also comes in a September UNGA time. That also, I hope that visit also comes. With this, we will continue with our agenda. We have congressmen waiting here patiently for a long time. So, I would like to invite Bogani.
Good evening, everyone. Please welcome Congressman Rob Wittman of Virginia, 1st Congressional District. As a leader of national security, technology, and America's global competitiveness, Congressman Wittman has been an important voice on policies that strengthen innovation and economic opportunity. Please join me in welcoming Congressman.
Well, thank you so much, and good evening. Good evening. Thank you all so much. Thank you to the foundation for putting this event together. Thank you for coming to Washington to visit, to have these conversations. I really believe that the most important strategic relationship in the 21st century is the relationship between the United States and India. What great opportunities are there. In fact, it motivated me with my colleagues last year to establish the study committee on India. Because I think members need to know more about India, need to know more about the importance of the relationship there, more about opportunities that are there between our two countries. And I'm very blessed in the Commonwealth of Virginia to have very vibrant and active Indian American communities there. From the Hampton Roads area to the Richmond area, it's incredible what those communities do, how close-knit they are. And I love going to the events that they have. The culture that India brings here to the United States is absolutely phenomenal. To see, yeah, absolutely. To see the joy in Indian traditions in the Indian community, to go to those events and see the colorful dress, the dance, the pride that those communities take in putting forward that to their friends and family is just absolutely incredible. So you all add so much to the quality of life in our communities. I want to thank you for that. There are great opportunities that exist in front of us that we have to operationalize. And you know, I had a great meeting the other day with the American Chamber of Commerce in India, and we talked about things like technology, about healthcare, about national defense, about financial services. There's so many opportunities there. And you heard a little bit of conversation too about the things that our countries need to do to an even deeper level, economically and strategically. I mean, if you look at energy, I was just in Alaska last August, and we have finally finished the permitting to take natural gas out of the north slope of Alaska, bring it down to the coast to Cook Inlet, put it through a compressor station, and turn it into liquefied natural gas. And guess who our #1 customer should be? India. And it's a great opportunity. We can make India exactly. We want to help India's economy grow. We want to make sure we help, and energy is the foundation of that. We ought to be doing everything that we can to help there. That's a great opportunity. The same, too, on the transfer of technology. You know, we talk about strategic relationships as it relates to the military. And on the Armed Services Committee, we talk lots about that because of the changing scope of what happens in the Indo-Pacific region and the threats that we see emerging from other folks in the neighborhood there, especially China. And we do know that joint operations between the United States and India are incredibly important. As I went there to visit, I talked to the chief of naval operations there and what you all are doing to grow your Navy. The key for the United States is we have to do more to help in the transfer of technology. You know, there are lots of technologies that we have here that India could utilize and actually produce their own weapons, to produce their own economy around a defense industrial base. I think those things are incredibly important. Our international trade or international traffic in arms regulations, better known as ITAR, need to be looked at, and we need to make sure that we provide that transfer of technology in certain areas to India. The same with ECRA, which is ECRA, another acronym, but it's the Export Control Reform Act that looks at how do we allow the transfer of technology from the United States. And we have to do that, folks, because the emerging technology areas of artificial intelligence, of quantum computing, and you just saw the other day an agreement concerning critical minerals and rare earth elements. You know, we can talk about semiconductor manufacturing, talk about all these other processes, but unless we are in the business of mining, that is extracting and refining and smelting those critical minerals and rare earth elements, we will still be at the mercy of China. If we're going to make sure that we have independent economies, we have to do those things together. And the technology that our two nations share is unparalleled. So let's build upon that. I'm very excited about our U.S. Trade Ambassador Jameson Greer being there in India. Hopefully they'll finalize a trade agreement between India and the United States. That, I believe, will be the most impactful economic action by both countries in the history of our nation. And folks, that has to happen, and it has to happen soon. So I'm very, very positive about the outcome of that, and that will indeed be the next chapter in a very strong relationship between our two countries. You know, we have so much in common between our visions about how our countries are formed, between our democracy, and here celebrating 250 years here in the United States. You know, if you look around the world, 250 years is pretty young as it relates to other governments around the world. But it also, I think, underlines the things in common that the United States and India have, and that things that we ought to build upon. So your efforts here to be here in Washington, to exchange your thoughts and ideas with policymakers here, both in the executive branch and the legislative branch, is incredibly important. Listen, I think the relationship between India and the United States is going to continue to build in ways that many of us today can only imagine. I think the best days are ahead of us. I think there's unlimited economic potential here in both of our countries. I think there are more things that we need to do. We need to be very aggressive about making those things happen. I think, too, it sends a message to the rest of the world about how important these two countries are in advancing economies, advancing security around the world, advancing the things that we all care about. I think those things are going to be the defining moments for both of our countries in the months and years to come. So I want to thank each and every one of you for coming here to Washington to visit. Thanks so much for what the foundation does to foster these discussions, to make sure we have these relationships. We look forward to the study committee going to India to visit, and we look forward to continued conversations to make sure we continue to grow this great relationship. Thanks again.